As Father Damien has already expressed to everyone, happy and blessed Easter to all of us here in the DeMatha Chapel and all of those participating via social media. The Easter season is not simply something that Christians commemorate every year on a single day. No. The Easter is something that we must strive to feel in the depths of our soul and share from the abundance of God's graces in our lives with others. We say Christ has risen, but what does that mean for us? What does the risen Lord offer us today in the gospel? I believe the Lord provides us with one word, and that word is hope. This Easter has not been like any other any of us have ever experienced before. We have all been challenged, stretched, pushed, perhaps in ways we never thought possible. When Christians have traditionally come together during this holy time, this Easter, we have been forced to stay apart, to remain socially distant from one another as we participated in Easter masses and services via television and social media. The difference does not mean, however, that we did not celebrate. The resilience of the human spirit and the power of the risen Lord brought people together in new and unexpected ways. In this current struggle, there are so many signs of Christ's light entering into the darkness of this pandemic. While we are saddened by the great loss of life, the rebirth of genuine human love is extraordinary. Neighbors are sharing more than a wave and a half-hearted hello. Families are getting reacquainted with one another. Husbands and wives are reconnecting and falling in love all over again. Artists from every walk of life are sharing their creations and their talents for us to enjoy, putting the enrichment of the human spirit above monetary gain. True heroes are being recognized for their willingness to give of themselves to keep the country going. Teachers, nurses, doctors, truck drivers, delivery workers, utility workers, military personnel, and first responders, all bravely doing what they were trained to do to keep the wheels of our society turning. These rays of light, my friends, are no accident. Through the Easter lens, we see them as the presence of Christ at work in a world that has been forced to slow down and take notice. These signs of hope express the final sentence of today's gospel lived out in concrete ways. And I quote, "Whoever lives in the truth comes to the light, so that their works may be clearly seen as done in God." As believers in Jesus, we must be people of hope, called to share the light of hope with others. We are called to take the light of this Easter candle to those who are in the darkness of fear, depression, and despair. We might ask ourselves, how can we do this in a time when we are so restricted? How can people who are not deemed essential workers share the Easter candle, the Easter hope with others? The answer, my brothers and sisters, can be seen in the many examples of people reaching out to lend a helping hand to those in need. I've heard of stories of several DeMatha students who are continuing their Christian service by making sandwiches for the elderly, the homebound, and the homeless. Other members of the DeMatha community are sharing their musical talent for the benefit of others. And through the generosity of many, many, many donors, DeMatha is able to establish a COVID-19 tuition assistance fund for families in need. These are just a few examples to illustrate the multitude of ways the joy and hope of Easter is being shared. My friends, this is what people of faith do. This is what we as a DeMatha community do, and I am so proud of those who are bringing hope to others. While these acts of goodness and these acts of charity are necessary, I want to take a step back. And I want to ask us all to take a long, hard look at ourselves. We may have come to the realization that it might be difficult to share hope with others if we ourselves have not experienced the hope that Christ offers in our own lives. How can we use this time to grow in our relationship with Christ? How can we ask Jesus to cast out the darkness and despair from our own soul and allow his light to shine in and through us for others? The answer is simple. And at the present moment, there is little to no excuse for not doing this simple action. This simple action is prayer. In the same way we have reconnected with old friends and family during this time, Jesus is calling us to spend time with him as well. My brothers and sisters, the silver lining in the midst of this pandemic is the gift of time. What are we doing with it? How are we using this time to not only help others, but also to feed our own soul? It is so important for Christians to set aside some time to connect with God, who, out of love for us, sent his Son Jesus into this broken world to save us all. I've got a few ways that we can begin to develop this habit of daily prayer. We could commit ourselves to saying a rosary a day, or maybe even just a decade of the rosary a day. Or if we feel comfortable, sit quietly for a few moments and just be present to the presence of God that is all around us. We can use the spiritual guide to social distancing that I sent out to the DeMatha students, faculty, and staff to help begin to form this daily habit of prayer. My personal favorite, and I do this every night, we can sit before we go to bed and review the day and be thankful for all of the many graces God has given us in our life that day. Whatever the practice we adopt, the two key things to keep in mind are this. Number one, give this tool a chance to work. And number two, be consistent in your particular prayer practice. Let me repeat. Give it time to work and be consistent with your prayer practice. We've been given the gift of extra time. Let us set aside a little bit of time to grow in relationship with Jesus. My brothers and sisters, with every Good Friday, there is an Easter Sunday that brings light into the darkness of our own lives. We may feel the weight of this pandemic, and for some, the weight may seem unbearable. But with every struggle, Jesus finds a way to make his hopeful presence known. We are all doing our best to cope with this current situation, and many of us are bringing that light of Christ to others through our actions. I encourage all of us to continue to share Easter joy and hope with others, but to also consider how each of us can grow in a deeper relationship with the one who gives us the reason for our hope. We cannot be people of gospel action without also being a people dedicated to prayer. This unique and special time will not last forever, but do not put off until tomorrow the things that we should be taking to prayer today. Jesus is with us on the journey, and he wants our Easter light to burn brightly so that we can share all that we have with those who are in the darkness of despair and who need Jesus and who need you and me to brighten their lives with hope this Easter season. May God bless you.